to introduce our speaker for our first Profile Breakfast of 2014, is Sister Maureen Burke. And Sister Maureen Burke was appointed president of St. John's School in August of 2010. Previous to her current position, Sister Maureen served as principal of Regina High School in South Euclid, Ohio. Sister has her doctorate in education from Nova Southeastern University in Florida with an area of emphasis in educational leadership. Sister also has her MA in political science from Kent State University. Sister is a member of the Sisters of Notre Dame with their provincial headquarters in Chardon, Ohio, and she has been a member of the Sisters of Notre Dame since 1973. Sister is deeply committed to the mission of Catholic education and is proud to represent St. John's School. With Sister today are members of the administrative staff of St. John, Ms. Perkoski, Principal, Chris Kovacs, Director of Advancement, and Keith Corlew, Director of Enrollment Management and Marketing. With that, Sister Maureen.
Good morning. Not sure that the crowd's here because you're wanting to have a breakthrough of cabin fever, and especially if you have children that have been off for 13 straight days. I guess it's appropriate that as we present about education, our kids are still at home in bed. Although we do have a group of our students here today from Ashtabula Leadership, Youth Leadership with us in the back, so we're grateful that they came out this morning to be with us. They're really the story of St. John. Had we known that this was going to happen, I probably would have had them up here rather than me, because certainly it's our students that make St. John, make any school what it is as part of who we are. We're grateful to have the opportunity to share the story of St. John with you this morning. St. John has a great history, a great legacy, but we have an even prouder and strong future that we want to share with you this morning. The story of St. John is the story of scholarship, faith, and leadership. So we'll go through that with you. I'll give you a little overview, and then part of our presentation will be a team approach this morning. Certainly we believe that that team approach, not only internally but externally, is what has made St. John so strong for the future. So we'll go through our first slide, which will give you kind of an overview of what we're going to talk about this morning. We're going to talk about our legacy, talk about why St. John's School, what's happening currently at St. John, and then hopefully our plans for the future. So let's talk a little bit about the history of not only St. John's School itself, but also Catholic education in our county. Catholic education began in Ashtabula with the establishment of Catholic elementary schools. First at St. Joseph's School, right in Ashtabula, then the addition of an elementary school at Mother of Sorrows, and then at Mount Carmel. And that began more than 150 years ago. And as we talk about Catholic education in general, that's really the history of what happened throughout the country. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the presentation. For the first 90 years, there was no Catholic high school. The first Catholic high school was St. John. The only Catholic high school in Ashtabula was begun in 1953. Father Fight and the other diocesan officials really recognized the need, especially as the whole end of the World War II, the beginning of sort of the boom of Catholic education throughout the country began. And again, began with a building that was used. Station Avenue building was a public school building that the diocese took over. If you've read the stories of the beginning of St. John's School, you know that the night before the building was to be dedicated, there was a fire, destroyed the whole school. The school had to be kind of rebuilt during that first year. They moved down to St. Joseph Elementary School in the annex to develop the school there, and then after a year, rebuilt, and then 10 years later added on the second section to it. So St. John itself has that whole history of having to overcome adversity, overcome obstacles from the very beginning. So the 60 years of that, as we said, scholarship, faith, and leadership have been the hallmarks of the school throughout the time. In the 1990s, the elementary and high school merged together, so that today we're a pre-K-12 school. We start with the youngest students and go through our 12th grade. Certainly we'll talk a little bit more about our academic programs. We're also very proud to be the pre-K through 12 school in the entire county. And that's why we talk about being the right fit, the right school, because we believe that Ashtabula needs options for education. There isn't one school that fits everybody, so it's important that as a county, we have those opportunities available for our young people, whether at the preschool age or at the high school age. And we're about leadership. When we look back at our history, the former Station Avenue building, Sister Visitation was the first principal of the high school. We have one of our Hall of Fame classes. We have not our only famous alum, but one of our famous alum, Irvin Meyer. We can look throughout the county and look at the people that have been part of the heritage, both at the elementary school level and at the high school level, who represent the leadership and the faith commitment that are brought not only to St. John's School, but we believe to the entire county in helping our county become what we want it to be, not only in the past, but in the future. So we'll go on and we'll talk a little bit more about the academic programs of the school, and we'll have Keith talk about that as we talk about it. Let's first talk about the historic view of Catholic education. Catholic education began in Baltimore as part of, again, a mission of bringing immigrant families into the mainstream of American way of life. And it's important that we recognize what Catholic schools have done nationally for our country. We offer choices for people throughout the country. We offer families an opportunity to look at not only academics, but faith as a part of that, and to be able to offer a moral choice for families that are looking for that. In terms of finances, we save public school districts a tremendous amount of financial capital, because all of our schools are financed by tuition. And that's probably a more recent phenomena in terms of Catholic schools. When Catholic schools were founded in the 1700s, almost all of them were tuition-free based schools. There were lots of reasons. If we had a whole course in private education, we talk about the reasons why tuition became a part of that. But schools do save our public school districts tremendous amounts of financial input. We also believe we contribute to what is called social capital. There was a researcher out of the University of Chicago by the name of James Coleman who developed the whole concept of social capital. The whole idea of social capital means that we contribute back in the areas of leadership and culture that offer a different model than the public school model is able to offer. We have families that are choosing this, willing to invest in a certain way, rather than a public school model where public schools have a different mission, a different challenge. And I think especially as we look at that in Ashtabula, I think one of the things that we've been able to develop in the past few years is a better networking between our Ashtabula public schools, whether it's here in Ashtabula City, Jefferson, Conneaut, the entire area. We don't see ourselves necessarily as people going down two separate tracks that never interact with each other. We see ourselves as offering different models of education that people can choose whichever model is best for their family, best for their children, and that we need to work together. Every child in Ashtabula County deserves a first-class education, whether it be at St. John, whether it be at a public school. So we think there are opportunities to merge the two and to work together for the betterment of the entire county. I'm going to ask Keith Corlew, who is our Director of Enrollment and Marketing, to talk a little bit about St. John's School in terms of its history here in Ashtabula. Keith's a native of Ashtabula, knows the area, so I asked Keith to talk a little bit about that part of it.
I think the key word there is investment. That's what we're asking our families to do, is to make an investment in the education of their children if they make the choice to send them to St. John's School. How that kind of comes full circle is when you see 100% of our seniors going on to the colleges of their choice, and in most cases taking significant scholarship dollars with them, you know that you've made an investment that pays off at the back end. Because that really is what we're asking our families to do. The easy out, when families always say, we may like or prefer a private education, but we can't afford it. That's always the easy, people always say that's the out punch for someone like me. When someone comes to look at the school, money's always where it's going to end. Well, there are a number of programs to help families afford private education, Catholic education. Locally and at the state level, the Expanded Ed Choice Program is a state of Ohio program which allows students coming into first grade and kindergarten. It's attached to an income criteria. It allows families who would never be able to afford a Catholic or private education to now consider it. Because the state has created programs to give families, again, Sister used the word choice, this allows them the choice of a Catholic education if that's what their preference would be as a family. So we have the Expanded Ed Choice Program. The John Peterson Program is another state scholarship program where students who may have what we call an IEP or specific learning differences, specific learning needs, the state has created scholarship dollars to bring into play some of the services that they may need to come to a school like St. John and to be successful. Remedial tutoring services, speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, etc. Services that a young person might need to be successful can now be made available to them at a school like St. John. So that's another program that's available. There are a number of incentives available. One question I'm always asked is, do you have to be Catholic to go to St. John? Of course not. We are a Catholic school. Year in, year out, 70 to 75% of our families are Catholic, which means that 25% of our families are not. All of our students who come to the school agree to participate in the religious education program, the service opportunities, they attend liturgy as a school. So there are some pieces and parts that every student participates in, but there are definitely students at the school that are not Catholic and are of other faith traditions, so they are certainly welcome to attend St. John. So there are incentives for families that are Catholic, as Sister mentioned. Parish level support is something that we still have locally in terms of subsidies. There are, of course, incentives for families. Family is a huge, not just word that we use, but a huge part of who we are and what we try to be. So we encourage families to send, entire family. The beauty of being a PreK-12 school is that you can send your 3-year-old and your 18-year-old in the same car every morning. So it encourages families to come to the school. So there are incentives for families. There is financial aid or need-based assistance, if you will, for families who want to make an investment in their child but just financially can't afford full tuition. There are programs that allow families to do that. We are certainly flexible with payment options. If this is something that a family wants to do for their child, we want to help them do it financially. So that's certainly an option. Fit versus the one-size-model, I think that's something that Sister addressed as well. That's probably the most important thing that we stress to families, is that the beauty of education here in Ashtabula County is that you have all kinds of choices. Every public school district in our county has open enrollment. So you are not bound by your geographic, by your neighborhood, by where you live. You truly have school choice. And St. John just wants to be one of those choices if a Catholic education, a faith community is what you're looking for. That's who we are and what we do.
In 2011, St. John went through a reorganizational model. As Laura introduced me, she introduced me as President. Nick Perkoski is our school principal. This is a trend throughout the United States. 60% of Catholic schools now have what we call the president-principal model of education. And this was developed through a strategic plan that the Board of Directors instituted in 2011. That strategic plan called for looking at ways to sustain the school well into the future. The board looked at areas of governance to create this model, allowing us to do more with marketing, more with dealing with the outside networking possibilities that are available to allow one person to deal with that, and then to allow a person, Nick Perkoski, to deal with the internal, the educational programs of the school. At the time, part of the strategic plan also asked us to look at our facilities. The building at Station Avenue was more than 100 years, I don't want to say old, but more than 100 years in existence, and needed a number of things to happen to them. And the board had been in the process of looking at What are we going to do with boilers? What are we going to do with roof? What would be the cost to really upgrade the facility? Not just because we needed a new, bright facility, but we want facilities to match the educational opportunities that we provide for our students. In the midst of that process, we were working with one of the architects on our board and his firm to look at that. We were doing studies in the area. When the opportunity came to purchase the Saybrook Elementary School facility. We looked at that facility. It too needed some work, but it had some things that we thought could provide the right match for our educational programs. Keith talked about the importance of family and to be able to create an area, a facility that would allow us to do that K through 12, pre-K through 12 educational program on one campus. To have a building that we could eventually add on to. And so the opportunity came, and in 2011, through alumni and supporters, we purchased the Saybrook building, made the decision to move the entire operation of our school, which had been on 2 campuses, to the one campus on Saybrook. It has been a wonderful move for us. It demonstrates, I think, the social capital that we talked about, because during the course of that time from February through June, we made some plans, but really I think the opportunity to show what Catholic education can do took place from June 16th, when we took ownership of the building, to August 27th, probably at about 2 a.m., the night before school started, when we were still laying carpet and all of the things that we needed to make a house a home. We had a building, we needed to make it our home, and we did that with over 200 volunteers. For me, it came very crystal clear what we were doing. One Saturday morning, we had a 4-year-old who came to volunteer with us with his mom and dad, and he was helping pass out rags and pass out bottles of water, because it was August, and we might have wanted weather like today on that August morning. And then we had the first lay teacher who taught at St. John High School, Joanne Stiles, who I won't reveal her age, but she was the first teacher, a lay teacher in 1957, and she came on that Saturday morning, and she was up on a ladder helping to paint lockers. So we have a 4-year-old and we have a 50-plus-year-old working that day to accomplish the same mission. And as a result of that move, we've increased enrollment, we've become much more sustainable financially, and we've been able to make plans for the future. And we've done that because we continue to form partnerships. There's, I think, been a great deal of involvement on the part of alumni. If you are a St. John or a St. John and Paul or St. Joseph or Mother of Sorrows or Mount Carmel alum, would you please stand so that we can see in this room the kind of impact we have had on the community. And current students stand as well back there. So they're the future, not only for St. John, but for Ashtabula County. Because we believe that this partnership is crucial not only to who we are as a school, but to our involvement in our enrollment in Ashtabula. We're part of the Chamber of Commerce. We're part of Profiles and Breakfast. We're part of Kiwanis. We're part of Rotary. Not just because we want to be out there, but we believe that we want to teach and educate our young people that those kinds of partnerships are what makes a city strong, what makes a community strong, what makes our churches strong. Not for today, but for the future. We believe that we have a role in Ashtabula County, not just as a Catholic school, but as a business model. And so we want to share with you now some of the things that are going on at the school itself in terms of our academic programs, and Nick will talk about that a little bit.
As Keith said, choosing St. John's School is an investment in the future of our parent students. Our graduating seniors can expect to be accepted 100% of the time to a college of their choice. St. John utilizes the state-of-the-art technology and educational process. Students in grades 7 through 12 are issued a notebook or laptop computer that is utilized in all subject areas. This provides our students the opportunity to develop computer skills necessary to be successful in college and in their future careers. In addition to flat screen TVs and digital projectors, each classroom is equipped with smartboards that teachers utilize to present interactive lessons through a medium that engages the students in the learning process. In 2013, our graduating seniors were offered $1,600,000 in college scholarships that they applied for. Each student that graduates from St. John is required to complete an internship in a career field that they are interested in, pursuing upon completion of high school. St. John offers an opportunity to take online courses for students who are interested in taking electives, such as Latin, economics, and so forth, that will help them prepare for college. And Keith now will talk a little bit about our statistics here.
If we're talking about Kent State University, we're talking about the Ashtabula Area City Schools, Buckeye Local Schools, or St. John School. I think we all agree that enrollment is key, critical, and of the utmost importance. At St. John, this year we have nearly 50 new students, new families to us this year. That's the third year in a row that we've seen an increase in our student enrollment. And that truly is the key to everything that any school or school system does in terms of curriculum offerings, programs, extracurriculars, athletic offerings, etc. The key is you need students to offer these opportunities for your young people. So again, about 50 new families into St. John this year. That's an increase of nearly 15%, and that again is the third year in a row that we've seen that. A large percentage of our increase has been in our grade school. Our kindergarten through grade 7 students. A number of families coming in at the 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade level, so that's where we've seen our biggest increase. It still allows us to maintain about 20 students as an average class. So one thing that our families do rave about is the one-on-one attention that their students receive, the fact that they truly feel as though the teacher understands their strengths, their challenges, and truly has the time to spend with each student before, during, after school if extra help is needed. So small class size is certainly important. And about a 13-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio, which is pretty typical throughout the county in most schools and school districts. One huge asset that we do have is an all-day kindergarten program. That's an everyday, all-day kindergarten, which is certainly something that today's parents are in search of. We also find that it is a fantastic preparation for elementary school and life beyond. The student who gets to spend, again, 5 days all day with us in our kindergarten class. And in fact, with the demand we had this year, our kindergarten class was closed because it was full. We brought in a teacher's aide to accommodate the needs that we had for our own families, but we did have a full kindergarten this year. The preschool program is another program that is growing, a program for 3- and 4-year-old students, 2 days a week if you're 3, 3 days a week if you're 4 currently. And again, there are morning and afternoon classes offered there. Very nice class size to encourage the socialization. It's not daycare, it is pre-K, it is school, and it is preparation for kindergarten life at St. John. So that is another option that we have. In terms of extracurriculars and things that are offered, again, the beauty of being a pre-K through 12 program is that we're all in one building and one campus. So our students, even at the kindergarten level, have access to everything that we have at the school. Some of the neatest things you'll see are kindergartners and 12th graders in the drama program together. You have seniors who are working with our kindergarten students on art projects within the drama program, within the fine arts program, within the Christmas concerts that we put on. So it really allows the younger students to create a model, and our seniors and our older students gives them those leadership opportunities at a very young age with students that in many cases they know because of the size of the school and the fact that so many of our families have a 1st grader, a 4th grader, a 7th grader in the building at the same time. We, of course, have athletic programs. The beauty of, again, the PreK-12 model is that our kindergarten students, third grade students, can start flag football, they can start basketball, they can start cheerleading, they can be involved in, again, the art club, the music program, the drama program, etc. at younger grade levels. As you get into the middle school and upper school, obviously, those opportunities get bigger. Of course, we offer football, baseball, basketball, volleyball, golf, tennis, what am I forgetting? Softball, soccer. We will be an OHSA member next year. Obviously, we play local schools. We travel throughout Northeast Ohio to play a number of schools. And in fact, another one of our partnerships that Sister mentioned is that currently the Spire is our home site for sporting events for junior high and high school. So yet another example of a local partnership. The leadership opportunities that our students have, we have 6th graders that have adopted the 2nd graders. We have seniors that have adopted the kindergarten students. So really it runs through the entire school. And in a school of 320 students total, the leadership opportunities are a little bit greater because there are fewer. So you will see students in the Key Club who, as an example, service opportunity, where there may be 10 students in the Key Club. Well, every member of that club has to actually participate. It's not just something you put on your college application. You actually have to do work. You actually are getting some real experience. It's not just a line on your application that you can't explain. So those leadership opportunities are there. I mentioned fine arts, K through 12, art shows. There obviously are reading competitions, math league competitions, things for students as little as 5 years old. One thing that we preach is school as a community and the community as a family. And I think that's true because in a school of 320, we have 200 families represented. It is fair to say that when you come to an event, you're going to know most families there. You know, you watch these children from age 3 to 18 grow up because you spend 15 years with 200 families. So it truly is, you know, school as a community and the community as a family, and that's something that we take a lot of pride in. It's something that I think families see and feel when they walk the building. And I would encourage any of you to find out more about St. John. Sister and I are in the building every day. We'd love to show you around and show you what's happening at our school. If that's something you're ever interested in.
As important as our past is, more important is our future. And I think that the future is bright because of the things that Nick and Keith talked about. Our academic programs, our ability to help students become leaders, the family community spirit that's part of it. We want to continue to make curriculum enhancements. Nick is working on what we call a school improvement plan, which will map out the next 3 to 5 years, looking at where are areas that we need to emphasize greater, be it Common Core standards, be it STEAM education, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. It's kind of an acronym that's out there. So all of our teachers are state certified. We follow the state guidelines in terms of curriculum. We have the ability to be able to infuse it with moral education as well. So when we look at engineering and technology, when we look at science and math, it's also what can we do to make sure that environmentally we are consistent with what's good for our county and our country. When we look at how to make choices in areas of engineering and architecture, we're able to add the value-added aspect to curriculum. So although we follow state guidelines, we're able to also add other parts into it that's a part of it. Keith talked about enrollment growth. We see our continued enrollment growing in the next few years. We hope to have 2 kindergarten classes, especially with the availability of not only our own tuition assistance programs, but state-funded programs that we can continue to offer more and more families the opportunity to become a part of St. John's. We hope to add on, we've added on when we took over the building, a new kitchen and cafeteria that opened last April. It is able to facilitate groups of approximately 200 people that are certainly available to the community as well. We know that we need to continue to add on athletically to the school to be able to provide the match for our athletic programs and other things. We know that we'll need to add on classrooms. So we're in process of looking at those. Again, we want to make sure that it's the best fit in terms of making the building fit our needs, and so we're looking at all that, looking at the possibility of tennis courts, other play areas, so that all of that will take place. We don't want to wait to make that happen, so we hope that some of these things will happen fairly quickly. Again, because we believe that we're a part of this area and part of the growth, we want to make sure that we use local groups and local people to make those things happen. Because, again, we see our role in Ashtabula County as a community resource. We hope to host Kiwanis groups, Rotary groups. We've done some of that already. The kitchen and cafeteria are available for rental, available for community groups to use. Their air conditioned, their, there's another word besides air, temperature controlled, both for this kind of weather and summer weather. We draw from all areas of the county. Even though we're part of the fabric of Ashtabula Saybrook, we have students from Conneaut, we have students from Kingsville, from Jefferson. We also draw from Lake County, we draw from Geauga County. So 90% is from Ashtabula County, but we also draw from other areas as well. We believe we have an economic impact on the community. We're a $1.8 million budget. And when we see that kind of impact, we think that as much as we need Ashtabula, we believe Ashtabula needs us as well. If there was another business in the area that had a $1.8 to $2.0 million impact on the county, we think businesses around it would try to make sure it continues because it's good for us. We have 45 employees who are impacting the community in terms of taxes. 90% of them are from Ashtabula itself, so again, both current resources being able to do that in the future. Again, we believe that the social capital is very important, that our involvement in Catholic charities, with food programs, with Rotary, with other groups that are making a difference in our county and our country and internationally. We live in an international society today, and we need to help our students recognize that, to recognize that as American citizens, we have a responsibility to use our gifts and talents to enrich not only locally, but at the international level as well. So we continue to be able to provide that. We hope to be able to do more of that. Last year, the Kent State program that went overseas to do some of that, our students were involved by learning about it, by helping to finance some of that. We hopefully at some point would like to involve our students in international travel and mission types of programs. One of the things I think I bring to it as a member of Sisters of Notre Dame, we have schools and sisters throughout the world. We have opportunities in Africa and India, China, Nicaragua, where hopefully at some point we might be able to partner with those schools, not only perhaps in terms of international exchange, but international mission groups as well. As I said, we believe in our proud legacy, our future promise. Anybody after listening to us today, we want you to be part of who we are. Certainly we have a need for volunteers. If you have time, we can find a way to use your time in multiple ways. So if you're interested in becoming part of us, certainly time is the greatest gift that anybody can give to us. We also can use your talent. We have career day opportunities where we invite speakers in, partnering with various groups to help our students recognize the importance of various careers. Keith and Nick talked about our internship program. We can use area businesses to offer opportunities for our students to get involved. Because one of the things that we think is important is to help our students recognize that there are things here in Ashtabula that can draw them back after they graduate from college. We've talked about in this county the loss of leadership because people think there aren't opportunities here. We think it's important that especially at the high school level, we help educate our students to the businesses, the local opportunities that will allow them to come back and to raise a family here in one of the best locations in the nation. Certainly, we can also use your treasure. As a private school, we rely on donations, we rely on tuition assistance to be able to continue to do the programs that we want to be able to do. We wouldn't be able to exist without the time, talent, and treasure that not only our graduates give to us, but local area businesses, people who recognize the importance of educating for the future. We think that's our future. We're proud of it, we're proud of our past, and even more proud of what we can do in the future. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of the story of St. John. If anybody has any questions, we'd be glad to entertain those now. That's our mission statement at the end.
I'm a son of Martin Luther, so forgive me. I worked in college admissions.
Where's the statements that I have to post in the book?
I worked in college admissions at Capital University in the late 70s and early 80s, and of course our largest percentage were Lutheran, but the next biggest group was Roman Catholic. And I was touring a family around campus. A mother and father and the daughter was a senior at Bishop Hartley. And I could tell they were a little hesitant about this Lutheran university, the chapel services, the religion requirements. And we were just going into the library, and one of our professors came out, who was also a sister of Notre Dame, and I introduced them, and their faces lit up, and everything was okay. So I thank you for that partnership. I got a master's from Dayton, so I've had the Marianas, so thank you.
And one of the partnerships that's been great for us, we're right across from the United Methodist Church of Saybrook, and we are grateful to them. They've opened their doors to us. At present, we don't have a chapel right on campus. That's part of our future growth. But they've been wonderful to us, and we've had some of their parishioners over at our place and opened our doors to them. We brought back the holiday craft show back to the building, and Methodist Church did the food for that program as well. So again, we believe in those kinds of partnerships.
I kind of know the answer, but I thought other people might be interested in the projection for the gymnasium and what some of the efforts are that are going into that and some of the accomplishments that you've made so far with that project.
As I said, we recognize that even though we have a partnership with Spire, and certainly we're grateful for the opportunity to use those until we're able to build our own. The presence of a gym on a high school campus especially, but even on a K through 12 campus, does more than just provide a hardwood court to be able to play volleyball or basketball. It provides sort of the kitchen to a home. You can have great living rooms and family rooms and basements and all that, but at least in my family, everybody kind of still comes to the kitchen, and moms probably want to throw everybody out, but the kitchen is where it's at. And I think a gym kind of serves that same purpose in a school. It's sort of the gathering place. So we're in the process of planning out a gymnasium that would be probably a 600 seat gym, accommodate our own students, be able to hold local events. We're still in the planning phases for that. Part of it is, again, creating networks. And one of the networks that we've been able to create recently is with a company in Chicago. They're called Connor Sports Equipment. And they do all of the floors for March Madness, for the NCAA college tournament. And today, gym floors are so specialized that you can pick them up and move them. They put a gym floor on the Enterprise ship to play, basketball games someplace out in the Pacific Rim or all those kinds of places. A friend of a friend of a friend connected us with Connor Sports. They're located in Chicago. They've done some things with other Catholic organizations. We went to meet with them about a month ago, and we weren't sure what we were really asking of them at first because we had never met them, but found out that these floors last for about 60 years, and you can refurbish them every 12 years. So some of their floors they sell after they use them on the enterprise. Some tournament teams, talking about treasure, they cut them up and sell them to their alumni. So we went to them and said, we need a gym floor. Now, I don't have a building yet to put it in, but start where you can. So we asked them for a gym floor, and after a few hours of talking with them and sharing our common missions, they said, done deal. So we have a floor, created from the outside. We hope to be able to put together people who believe in our mission, that hopefully within the next 6 months we'll be able to announce that we're going to be groundbreaking. We hope to put in tennis courts probably even sooner than that. That would, again, when we look at the athletic facilities in the area, tennis courts are in need throughout the Ashtabula community. Again, that these would be available not only for our own students but for the community. So both of those hopefully are going to be announcements that we can announce within the next 6 months. That we have half of the funding for some of those in place already, and working with local community people, local alumni, national alumni, to be able to make those a reality, that hopefully the next time we're back here that we can announce that those projects are indeed taking place. And again, I think that's part of the economic impact that we will have on the community. A year ago we put up a kitchen and cafeteria that are $1 million investment in the area. A gym will be about a $2.5 million investment. Tennis courts about a $300,000 investment. So we believe we're giving back economically to the community as well as asking the community to invest in us. I think there was one other question up here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time creating just one question because my mind's just full of different possibilities. I'm Rich Schrecker. I'm a migrant worker, just relocated here from Oregon. I'm a legal migrant worker. I'm taking over after-school discovery programs, which has been here for quite some time. But in Oregon, I spent 5 years in the development office of one of the leading Catholic high schools, and then subsequently spent 5 years starting a development department in one of the worst schools, public schools in the city, struck by poverty. And one of the things that I hear from you is the value you place on co-curriculars and how important that is. And I assume that I'm kind of interpreting your mission, but you're really preparing students to be successful in life. And I'm hard-pressed to think that any school, public or private, isn't trying to do the same thing. I guess what I'm leading to, I told you I'd have a hard time coming to a question. I guess it's more of a request. We need your help to make the case for the value of co-curriculars and help us measure the impact of those things so that there's an imperative in all schools to defend those pieces of the educational puzzle. Does that make any sense?
Definitely. I think, as I said before, I believe strongly that every student deserves, I'll use the Cleveland Clinic phrase, a world-class education. From pre-K, from Head Start, through Kent State, through all of that. And I think the co-curriculars are an area that often in public schools face the cutting block. The arts, the all-day kindergarten, all of those kinds of things. So I think, one, by offering them, we, I think, show the credibility that they're what produces the social capital that, Catholic schools have used as the measurement of that. It's hard to measure. When we talk about social capital, even the word itself, people don't understand. So, one, it's finding those measurements. And I think we're willing to be part of that. And I think, I'd like to think that's one of the goals that we've accomplished over the past 2 years, is that we're working with the Ashtabula City Schools, that we're willing to be a part of that. Their mission is different than ours. neither is less important. Now, obviously, I think mine is more important because, that's what I'm there for. But I believe their mission is important. I think the challenges that public school face are immense. They have a whole different set of situations before them than I do. I think we can learn from each other in terms of some of that. We're grateful to Joe Donatone, Bud Hill, the school board, for making St. Burke available to us. I mean, they could have put up roadblock after roadblock for us. They haven't. We have a good relationship, with the current administration of the Ashtabula City Schools. Obviously, sometimes as two different railroad companies, have common interests, we also have separate interests. But I think we're willing to work with each other. And I think as we continue to go forward, we'll find more ways that we can work together. Because especially in Ashtabula, where there's one really private school, I mean, we have a couple of other Christian schools that are K through 6, but we're it. We can't afford to let either fail. We need good, strong public schools to attract people to Ashtabula who want a private school. Good private schools, studies nationally show that the housing value increases by anywhere from 7 to 15% where a private school is located, where a Catholic church is located. So the area needs us to drive up the market value of houses. They work together. And so as much as we can do some of that, we're there, and I think people in the Ashtabula City Schools know that, we know that. Hopefully we can continue to find areas that are common interests for us.
To Keith and Nick for your presentation today. I will say after, I believe Sister Maureen was on the job about 3 days when I went into her office and said, have I got a great idea for you? Would you like to be a part of Leadership Ashtabula County? And both Sister Maureen and Nick Perkoski are graduates of Leadership Ashtabula County and have been an inspiration to their class members as both their involvement in civic endeavor and recognizing the importance of the Ashtabula County community and connecting to that. And also as the parent of what will be, I guess, the 4th generation graduates of St. John's School in 2027 and 2032, can really proudly say that the school has, it is great inspiration to see how the school has embraced the Ashtabula County community, but also how the Ashtabula County community has embraced the school. So thank you very much for your presentation today. And please, to everyone, stay warm, stay safe, and we will see you in February. Thank you.